trash in our house. And then we get our special treats. Dude, where's my car?
Who would have guessed a simple line of dialogue would become the rallying cry for a nation searching for answers in uncertain times, and would provide the world with a glimpse into the hearts and minds of young people everywhere as they grappled with what it meant to not know where their cars were in the new millennium. Dude, Where's My Car was a watershed event in world history. As the cast wrapped up principal photography, the people of Yugoslavia rose up against the tyranny of Slobodan Milosevic. Actor Sean William Scott.
I don't know if Dude, Where's My Car was itself responsible for the freeing of the Balkan minorities against authoritarian rule. But what it made us do is realize that we were at least on the right track. We were doing something special.
From the making of the movie to its impact on the world and its geopolitical climate, we'll take you behind the scenes to look at the drama behind the comedy. We'll learn that the movie was a journey, and that making it was as dramatic as the movie's effect on the history of film. In the next 7 hours, we'll take you on that journey, where hilarious hijinks ensued on-screen, and deadly hijinks ensued off-screen. This is the tale of Dude, Where's My Car? The G, True Tinseltown Tale.
From life's ambition was to be discovered.
Never recover from the public scandal.
In December 2000, Ashton Kutcher, TV's lovable Kelso of That 70s Show, turned the world on its head with his plaintive cry, "Dude, where's my car?" That memorable catchphrase proved to be a much-needed life preserver, thrown to a world drowning in a sea of discontent. The fairy tale that became Dude, Where's My Car? Was based on the real-life experiences of its writer, Philip Stark. Stark was born in 1985 and was raised by his parents, Herschel and Binky Stark, in Houston, Texas. As a boy, young Philip Stark would while away the days urinating in the back seat of the cars in his father's dealership. To keep his son occupied and out of trouble, Herschel Stark would often ask Philip to sit down and shut up. Philip used this time wisely and began mentally cataloging all of the cars on the lot he liked the best. His new hobby turned heartbreaking, however, when one day his favorite car, a '98 Chevy Nova with power steering, was sold. Writer Philip Stark.
That was tough. It was really tough. Took me a long time to learn how to laugh again. It was during those dark days right after the Nova was sold that I wrote, "Dude, Where's My Car?" I was just very angry at the world.
20th Century Fox executive Charlemagne Borenstein was the first one in Hollywood to read the script. Borenstein bought the script from Stark for a record $98 million.
Dude, My Car is a fantasy adventure film about two wacky adventurers who enjoy adventure and fantasy together. As a film executive, I'm going to want to see a lot of things ensuing in a script. The fact that you have fantasy, adventure, and hilarity ensuing simultaneously made this movie a no-brainer to greenlight. And I haven't seen a film with an ostrich in it in a long time.
The producer's first move was to recruit 18-year-old Jennifer Hamilton, a talented assistant choreographer trained by the great song and dance man, Dan Aykroyd.
We knew from day one that it was going to be the assistant choreography that was going to make or break this picture.
Hamilton was put up at the Grand Ballroom at Shutters Hotel in Santa Monica for 4 months to assist in working on the dance moves for Dude, Where's My Car? In the meantime, the producers got down to the business of casting the film. The first actress cast was Shira Friendly, who played girl number 14 in the pivotal Blind Kids camp scene.
We knew Shira had the look to play girl number 14. But when she put on the sunglasses, I mean, you could see it. You know, everyone in the room, their jaws just dropped. She looked blind.
With the important business of casting girl number 14 behind them, the producers then went on the hunt for Jesse, the dim-witted yet lovable party animal who doesn't know where his car is. They immediately set their sights on Ashton Kutcher, who plays Kelso on TV's That 70s Show.
Ashton was my first choice to play Jesse. Out of all the performers I've ever written for, Ashton's probably the one with the most acting experience. We probably could have gotten away with casting someone without as much of a dance background, but you just get a much more fully realized Jesse with the type of talent that Ashton brings. I said, give me Kutcher, and they got me Kutcher.
Born on Ash Wednesday, Ashton grew up in London and studied movement at the Royal Academy with such luminaries as John Malkovich and Gary Sinise. Actor and activist Ashton Kutcher.
One of the things that I did, which was so great on my part, was to drive to the Beverly Center in LA, which has this enormous parking structure, right? And I would park my car and not remember where I parked it. So I'd go shopping for 2, maybe 3 hours, and I'd come out and literally have no idea where I parked my car, right? And so I'm looking around and I'm saying to myself, where's my car? Where's my car? Where's my car, right? And then that became, dude, where's my car? Dude, where's my car? Dude, where's my car?
Ashton desperately wanted the part, and he pulled out all the stops to get it.
Hi, I'm Ashton Kutcher, Jesse. Where's my f***ing car? Where's my f***ing car? My f***ing car, you assholes! I'll f***ing kill you! I'll kill you, you I want my car! I want my car! No! No! Oh, God!
The producers were blown away by Ashton's talent and passionate monologue.
You could tell it really came from the heart with Ashton. At the screen test, a lot of us actually started looking around for his car. He was that believable.
The producers had their Jesse. They then went out to get Jesse's friend in frivolity, Chester. Sexy Hollywood star Ross Broccoli, who played Mark in the Holiday Inn commercials, was the producer's top pick to play the lovable scamp. The only problem was he couldn't dance. Assistant choreographer Jennifer Hamilton.
We used to say that Ross had 3 left feet because he had a really big penis. And we worked with him on his moves for days. But in the end, he was still dancing as if he had never lost his car.
Ross Broccoli was out. The filmmakers then screen tested over 1,000 hopefuls, without luck. Next in line was 34-year-old Sean William Scott, who had appeared in both American Pie movies as well as the film Road Trip. Actor Sean William Scott.
After the success of American Pie, I really felt like I had broken through a lot of barriers in the business. Now, I give credit to the producers and the casting director for American Pie. They had faith in me that I could play an 18-year-old white guy, even when I was a little skeptical. But they were right. It came off great, and the audience was just so accepting. But after playing essentially the same white guy in Road Trip and American Pie 2, I started to feel a little typecast. I knew as an actor I had to get out of my safe zone. And Dude, Where's My Car was such a leap from any of my other movies. For example, I don't drink cum in this one.
Director Danny Liner did his best to keep the cast loose and encouraged all the actors to improvise.
Dude, where's my car?
Where's your car, dude?
Dude, where's my ball sack? Hey, can we use that one? I think that was my best take. Dude, where's my car?
Where's your car, bitch?
Hey, that wasn't me that time. That was her. That was her. Dude, where's my car?
I shut up.
I shoved it up my
Dude, Where's My Car was finally released on December 15, 2000, and critical acclaim was swift and overwhelming, with several small-town newspapers recommending it. Throughout the country, adolescent homes for the developmentally disabled gave special screenings of Dude, Where's My Car, where the film was compared, not unfavorably, to pornography. Audiences from all over came to capture the magic of not knowing where their cars were. When all was said and done, Dude, Where's My Car raked in over 40% of the $100 million 20th Century Fox spent to make it. But the theatrical release wasn't the end of the Dude, Where's My Car juggernaut. The producers saw a new outlet for their vision, and they immediately turned to assistant choreographer Jennifer Hamilton to plug into that outlet and turn on the juice.
Well, the producers came to me about doing a live Dude, Where's My Car musical. And all of the dance numbers in the movie would be recreated on the stage. And we'd come up with a few new numbers as well.
Where's his car? It was during the music tour that 20th Century Fox came to the producers with more exciting news. And with that, the stage was set for a sequel. The movie that touched so many lives would soon have a new companion in mischief. Dude, Where's My Car 2? I'm not screwing around. Where's my damn car? Don't F with me. Dude, Where's My Car affected so many lives, but no lives were affected more than the people who made it.
Years later, it's still going. People are now coming up to me in their very early 20s and saying they watched it in their late teens and that it helped them through some hard times. That's probably what sticks with me the most.
Almost 4 years since a couple of lovable white teenagers sent the world searching for their cars, Dude, Where's My Car continues to be an experience the cast and crew won't ever forget. It was truly special and has left the world forever wondering, Dude, where's my car?
Well, if we don't make our money back from the sequel, CBS wants to do either a miniseries or a reality game show, like a reality game show special, where random people get carjacked and they have to answer geography questions in order to find out where their cars are. We have a line of action figures coming out, a cereal, a comic book, a Saturday morning cartoon. We have an adult version of that cartoon for Comedy Central, which will feature on-camera anal sex. A line of soups. Hey, is that cock ring demo ready? Yeah, that's coming out in the fall.